10 out of 10 high achieving women I work with basically all that I worked with when I was a high fitness coach, and now that I'm a life coach, fear this share this particular fear that they almost always never want to share out with anyone. If I stop doing everything, things will fall apart, or one version of this, and everyone will see that it was always me holding it together. And if this speaks to you, I want you to stay with me. I know it's not stress. I'm not talking about stress or burnout or overwhelm or any of those things. Because what I want to talk about is the fear that is underneath why you keep going. And unless we isolate it without the language of being burnt out and all, we'll never get to it. So the fear underneath why you keep going, even when you're tired, even when physically it's stressful and it's showing up in different ways in your life, even when your spirit and your soul knows that you're done. That's the fear that I'm talking about. And it's not because you love responsibility or the praise that you get when you're always dependable. It's not because of that. It's deeper. And if you've never been taught to acknowledge it, which is why it keeps going on. And sometimes there's guys that there's other things that I mentioned. So I'm going to share with you in this live the three main root fears that drive this feeling of being exposed and why you do not want it to come out. One, the first root fear is, if I slow down, I lose control of how people see me. Because a lot of the things that high achieving women do is predicated on maintaining the environment, controlling the environment, and how they look, how they appear. So they really want to control that environment. If I design the way I'm showing up to be a certain way, or if I curate the environment in which I show up, I will be this particular way. And this is the part that most never want to admit. We just want to act like it's just happening the way it's happening, but it's really because we are focused on appearing in a particular way. So you spent years managing how you're perceived, and you've gotten a lot of respect by being the one who always or mostly had it together, who looked always like things were working even when they weren't. And the space for being vulnerable was not something that you allowed to happen for you, because you build a lot of your credibility on competence. And if you're not always showing up in that competent manner, then you feel like your sense of safety is threatened. So slowing down when you have it all set up like this does not feel restful. It almost feels like you're exposing those parts of you that you don't think people will find valuable. And really it's because you don't find it valuable, but that's not what we're talking about right now. What I mean is that when you it's not that you don't want to that you want to do everything, right? It's that being in control of everything feels safer than the chance or the possibility of being misunderstood by people. That's the first fear. The fear that if I slow down, if I don't do it anymore, if I don't keep carrying this, I lose control of how people see me, perception. The second fear is that your worth comes from what you produce, and it's not really about who you are. So if I'm not doing, and this is what it looks like, if I'm not doing something, if I'm not creating something, if I'm not producing something, I am not worthy. Because the idea that you're worthy just as you are is something that is you're still grappling with, or for some of us we're not even in that space. And this particular fear is it's almost like an unconscious biased fear, because you don't know it's there, because you're so used to the praise, the promotions, the titles that you get after you've performed certain things or performed in certain ways. And when your approval comes after excellence, you begin to feel that that's what you have to do. And somehow or the other, because we've equated our doing with who we are, we just keep going and going. And then another thing is also that, because when you're useful to your friends, to your relatives, to society in general, it gives you this false sense of belonging. Because on their end, if you're going to do things for us, if you give us things, if you provide things for us, you belong because we're getting something from you. So that too is what keeps this whole thing going. And that's what helps that fear of cements that fear of attaching your worth to producing something or doing something. So now, when you consider doing less, your body interprets it as losing the only currency that you've been rewarded for. And who doesn't want to keep being rewarded? So that's what happens. It doesn't feel safe because we're going to lose the praise, we're going to lose the accolades, we're going to lose the promotion, we're going to be exposed, we're not going to belong, we're going to be left out, we're not going to be called, we're not going to be invited, all those things. So what does your body do? It keeps you staying in performing, in doing, and in wearing that mask, because this is the way that you get rewarded. And if you don't get rewarded, it's danger. It's reading it as danger. And contrary to what some may think, it's not because you're addicted to work. Nobody's addicted to work. It's because you've tied the identity that made you feel like you mattered to doing, to performing. The third and final root fear is, if I stop holding everything, something will drop and it will be my fault. Because you're the only one, in your eyes, you're the only one who can do this and who can do this in the way that it needs to be done. And if you don't do it, the whole world will shut down and nothing will happen. And this fear lies in your nervous system. It's why when you slow down, you don't feel like you're relaxed. It feels like danger. It's why sometimes when you wake up after 9 hours of sleep, you're not rested, and you wake up and your immediate response is to check your email, go on social media. That feeling of FOMO drives everything. You feel like because you slept, things have happened, you've lost out on so many things. It's also why when you hear that some girlfriend had a party or an event and you weren't invited, your immediate thing is, what did I do? Why wasn't I there? It feels like danger to be left out, because if you're not there, if you're not actively participating or contributing or being physically present, things don't work out, things won't work out, things will fall apart, and it will be your fault. And the main thing that many of us want to protect is that image of being perfect. You don't want to disappoint anyone else. You don't want to feel like you've exposed something. You don't want to be blamed for something that you didn't anticipate or see coming. It's the hyper awareness that you've sharpened over years and years and years and years, because you were the one that people counted on to always come through, to have money for a loan, to turn a little gathering into a huge birthday thing, to plan, to show up, to pay, all those different things. And people did this, or people expected you to do this, and you just kept doing this, even at the cost of who you were. They weren't checking on you, but you still did it. They weren't asking about you, but you still did it. In fact, for some of us, the only time that we got any type of "are you okay" was because you had missed something that they expected you to do, or you didn't show up in a way that they were counting on you to show up. So, excuse me, over functioning does not come from preference. It comes from the instinct that you have to survive. It's a survival instinct. And the truth that I want to share with you as I wrap up is that you are not scared of slowing down. You're just scared of what slowing down represents, or what you think it will reveal, the big expose. They'll see that I'm not this. They'll see that this happened to me, and they will not love that version of me. When they see that version, I will not belong. I will not be respected. I will not be valued. I will not be invited. Whatever it is, right? About your relationships, about your role, about who you are when you're providing yourself, or when you're proving yourself, through effort. Those things will be revealed. The relationship that isn't working, the role that you're barely holding together internally, and the fact that if you're driven by, if you don't keep doing this, you will not count. So that fear is real, but the truth is, the good news is, it's not stronger than your doorway to freedom. And that's why I want to ask you this question. I'm asking you with all love: what part of you has been terrified, has been scared of being seen without the roles that you've been performing, or without performance? What part of you has been terrified of being seen without being the perfect friend, being the fixer, being the one who handles everything, who does everything, who knows everything? part of a lot of what we do is we want to show that we know everything, and we can't say we don't. Just you. What part of you has been terrified of being seen as you without all those different roles that you've been playing in for so long? Because the moment that you can sit with that question, allow it to really, really permeate and give it all you have when you respond, when you answer, when you journal it out without running back to immediately do something, is the moment that things start shifting in a real, tangible, honest, and authentic way. And honestly, that's when your life really starts to shift in the direction that you want it to. So, if this live or any part of this live resonated with you, join me on December 27th for the Soft Life Shift Masterclass. I will break down during the masterclass why slowing down feels unsafe, even when you want to, even when you absolutely need to, and how your identity has been tied to performance. And I will also give you 3 micro shifts that help you pull yourself out of this over functioning and over performing role without you feeling guilty, without the backlash that you think may or may not come, or even blowing up the relationships that you have. The link to sign up is in the description, and I'll see you in the next live.